Hey everyone, this is Kevin, your failed journalist, and yes, this time I am aware I am on the right channel. I also want to apologize in advance for any sound quality issues or even picture quality issues if it fades in and out. I'm filming this on my Microsoft Surface, which, well, I'm doing the live stream actually because this is live. But I haven't use my Surface as my main um, live stream camera or camera of any kind for a very long time and for very good reasons. However, I'm currently, the workstation is currently unavailable. And interestingly, my Samsung Galaxy 7, which has been an otherwise pretty good phone, just recently fried. So I am getting a new cell phone tomorrow, which should have at least slightly better, visuals and audio. But until then, we're kind of stuck with this thing. So, hey, Summate, how you doing? So anyway, this is the first live stream of 2021. I don't do a lot of live streams on this channel. Maybe I should, but that's kind of what we're here to discuss. Every year it's customary to kind of discuss, what's happened in the past, what you're thinking about going forward. And I already did this type of live stream for my other channel, the Apptrepreneur. But I think the Failed Journalist channel deserves its own little live stream. And it's also funny because it feels like it's Saturday, but it's really not. It's Friday. So anyway, the past. Let's reflect first a little bit on this channel and where it's been. This channel has actually, in some strange way, always been the main channel, even though it's kind of been more of an experimental channel the whole time. I uploaded my first video on this thing well over 10 years ago when I was a hardcore eBay seller and I was having issues with PayPal and ProPay and stuff like that. And so I uploaded a couple videos, and those videos to this day still do very well. In fact, for years, I would get $50 to $100 in ad revenue just based on those 3 videos. And then I kind of decided just to upload a couple videos for fun, and some of them actually got fairly popular. There were the Simpsons DVD rants. I have a lot of Simpsons subscribers. There was a talk of, I did a couple DoorDash videos, which I ended up turning into a separate channel, which ended up getting way bigger than I thought it would be. Probably the biggest audience that I got was during the Movie Pass days. I was making a lot of pro Movie Pass videos, even when it was pretty clear to everyone, myself included, if I'm being perfectly honest, that, hey, Movie Pass does not have a bright future. They're not going to stick around. Recently, my focus has kind of been movie theaters because, I still like movie theaters. Now, who knows, maybe in hindsight, it should have been obvious for the whole time, but I'm fairly bullish on movie theaters. I do think they will survive. They will look different, and they might not be as big as they used to be, but I do think movie theaters will ultimately be okay. But what do I do with the channel going forward? Well, there's a few things I want to do and a few goals I want to reach. The first thing is I do want to upload my best and worst films of 2021. And here's the thing, it's going to look a little different this year. First of all, I've never done a best of or worst of list in video format. They've always been written. And I've decided, for the first time, I want to do that in video format. However, because 2020 was such a strange year, I've kind of decided ultimately that I'm not going to do the worst films of the year list. I think that list is probably going to be, I won't do it because most movies people didn't see in general, and there's no reason to bring it. There's more reason than ever before, I should say, to bring attention to bad movies at this point. I mean, top 10 worst films of the year list are usually therapeutic for the critic, the person who saw the movies. These are movies that took their time, it took their money, they went out of their way to see something that wasn't very good. And while there were certainly a couple movies that fit that bill, because of the chaotic year, it feels kind of redundant to be picking on them. Like, so for example, was the new Mutants bad? Yes. Was it a waste of money? That's a little bit harder to quantify this year because, the New Mutants was the first movie I saw in an actual movie theater again when they reopened. So on one hand, yeah, it wasn't very good. On the other hand, you were just happy to have something. So Is it really worth picking on that movie? What about Unhinged? I mean, that's a movie that I think in most circumstances I would not have liked. But because we had so few movies, I kind of gave Unhinged a pass. Tenet was, I actually liked Tenet quite a bit, and it was confusing. So I'm certainly not going to put it on the worst films of the year list. And, what's the point of making a top 10 worst films of the year list when most people aren't seeing the movies anyway? It's one thing when an Adam Sandler movie gets released like Pixels and it just robs the economy of $200 million or however much money it made. That's one thing. But like, say Pixels was released this year and they decide, you know what, we're not going to put that in theaters. We're going to put it on Netflix. And basically it just costs your time, and people do not feel obligated to finish it because there's so much other things they can watch. That kind of changes things just a little bit. So I'm not going to do a top 10 worst films of 2020. That said, because of things that were going on last year, I also did not produce a best or worst list of 2019. Now, here's the thing. The notes are all there. I actually even selected my movies that I would have picked. I put them in an order. I had the honorable and dishonorable mentions. I just never actually put pen to paper. I just have the chicken scratch notes. So I've decided this year to kind of break into this mold. I will first make top 10 lists for 2019, and then we will do the best films of 2020. And also, since a lot of 2020 films will not be released till 2021, that will give me a little extra time to see more of the movies, and we will have a grace period this year for the list where, certain movies that I see in 2021 that I know were meant for 2020, kind of like the Oscars, could be eligible for the list. Now, anything I don't see by the time I make that list, I'll just have to take notes, and those will have to be in consideration for the 2022 list. So those will be fun videos to make. It'll kind of be, and that's 3 videos that I can use to stretch my legs on this new thing. Also, I want to get back into writing. There's a lot of books I want to write, a lot of the movie review and history books. So I'm going to be challenging myself to write one of 2 things, either 1 movie review a day or 3 pages of a chapter a day. I want to just force myself to write a little bit more. Now, I have signed up for Letterboxd, and starting with the next video, you will be able to click on a link below and follow me on Letterboxd. I still have my iCritic blog, but, not a lot of people go to see that. So I'm going to be, going to Letterboxd as well. And if you want to follow me there where it's easier, you can do that. And so you guys can kind of keep me. Now, this is not going to happen right away. In fact, it's probably not going to happen until the 11th of January because there's just too much going on this next week, personally, to even start this experiment. But starting the 11th, one of my New Year's resolutions is that, hey, I will be trying to write a review, 1 review a day, Monday through Friday. Weekends, I get off if I so choose, because you have to take some days off. Then there's also the name of this channel. Now, some of you probably already alluded to seeing what I've been alluding to. I like The Failed Journalist. Some people don't understand it. I think it's funny. It was a big middle finger to a bully. And on top of that, I think, self-deprecating names are actually kind of quite humorous. But it is true that my other channels, the Apptrepreneur, tend to be bigger and higher in stature. And so I had briefly considered renaming this channel to the Apptrepreneur Media and changing the Apptrepreneur Media channel to Apptrepreneur Gaming. I took a poll, and I'm no longer going to do that. I decided that, it's nice to have one channel that when people say, how can I find you on YouTube, you can say The Failed Journalist. I also think that future content, which is going to be movie reviews and entertainment discussions and stuff like that, would be of more general use to people. So, the Apptrepreneur is a very neat, even though it's a bigger channel, it's a very niche topic, which is entrepreneurship and apps and stuff like that. So, I think the Failed Journalist being its own thing is a good thing. And instead, my Twitch channel will become the Apptrepreneur Gaming, and so that will be my trinity of Apptrepreneur channels. So that said, this channel, there will be some more Apptrepreneur content coming to this channel. I talked in the other video that I want to ramp up my podcasting with the Apptrepreneur show with guest speakers. And since it will be incorporating entertainment, news, and stories, clips of that show will appear on this channel. And if you want to listen to the whole podcast, it'll be available on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple, all those things. I'm just commissioning right now logos and theme songs and things like that. So we've got that taken care of. Is there anything else I should discuss while I'm on here? I mean, I don't know. I would also like to know what some of you would like to see from the channel going forward, knowing that this is a pretty general pop culture entertainment discussion. I think at some point the news stories might become less and less frequent because I think I'm just going to incorporate those into the podcast, and I'm going to spend original content here making reviews and long form videos. There's actually a little YouTube documentary that I've been considering making. I know it's going to take a long time, but I'm kind of thinking of just, using it as kind of like a practice run for making a real documentary in the future. Because I do want to make movies at some point, and I don't think I would be talented enough to ever direct an Avengers or anything like that. But I have a particular fondness for documentaries. Obviously, I discuss the news. So, I might just cut my teeth with a couple amateur documentaries on YouTube. But there's a couple topics I'm also going to save for the big games, because I do have friends who are in the industry, and I'm going to see if we might be able to work together. Some 8 says, do you have a home theater set up? Yes, I do have a home theater set up. So, but, I'm sure that's just more of a curiosity thing than anything. Otherwise, other New Year's Eve resolutions, lose the last 20 pounds that I want to lose. Love my wife more. Read a lot more. Like I said, get more writing done, get more videos made. Because here's the thing, folks. I know 2021 is it's kind of exciting. 2020 has been like a pretty awful year for the most part, and we just want to be rid of it. But as I told my wife yesterday, temper expectations. 2021 is not going to look very different from 2020. The coronavirus is still out there. Heck, it's getting worse with record infections and a new mutation strain that is even more contagious. So prepare yourself for more lockdowns. But, since I've now dealt with this for a year, I think this prepares me going forward. I think I can do this time. This time I can do this. And once things start getting better around the summer and fall, then it will be wonderful to return to those things. So anyway, I think that's where we're going to end this little live stream. There's not a lot of people here right now, so I don't see any point of doing a Q&A or anything like that. But hey, I would like to know what all of you think. What are your New Year's resolutions, and how are you holding up in general? I would love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. As always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.